Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something that's honestly a bit shattering. We're talking about retirement, what's supposed to be the absolute most anticipated phase of American life. I mean, for millions of us, it's sold as the ultimate reward, right? You put in the grueling hours, you deal with decades of stress, and eventually, you get that massive payoff. Freedom. No more alarms, no deadlines, just pure peace. But as we're going to see, the modern reality looks profoundly different from that picture-perfect dream.
I don't know who I am anymore. Just let that sink in for a second. That one sentence perfectly captures a silent terror that millions of retirees are facing right now, strictly behind closed doors after 40-plus years of chasing the American dream. We're looking at a huge demographic of folks who spent decades, literally their entire adult lives, building careers and raising families, only to wake up one morning feeling completely invisible, purposeless, and frankly, emotionally broken. So we really have to ask, how on earth did this phase of life become so incredibly lonely?
And the sheer scale of this, it's staggering. 10,000. That's the number of Americans turning 65 every single day. Our country is aging faster than ever before. So you've got 10,000 people daily walking right into this hidden psychological crisis. And honestly, the scariest part is that most of us don't even see it happening. Why? Because retirement depression doesn't usually look dramatic. It doesn't scream for attention. It often just looks like a guy staring at a television for 8 hours straight, or a woman eating her dinner in total silence.
We're dealing with a really stark contrast here. On one hand, you've got this beautiful societal promise, the golf courses, the epic road trips with the grandkids, the endless peace and quiet. But then, on the flip side, there's the actual emotional collapse so many experience the second their lifelong routine suddenly vanishes. We are seeing massive spikes in anxiety, total identity loss, and genuine financial fear. Make no mistake, this isn't just some personal, isolated issue. It is a full-blown cultural, economic, and psychological crisis.
So, let's dig into the roots of this crisis.
To really understand this massive shift in mental health, we need to go a bit deeper. We can actually break the root causes down into 4 hidden pillars. And listen, the most crucial thing to grasp before we jump into these is that retirement itself, that's not the problem. The problem is what retirement actually exposes about our modern culture, our economy, and our own deeply ingrained habits. So, pillar number 1, work identity. Look, American culture absolutely glorifies productivity, right? From the time we're little kids, we're asked, what do you want to do for a living? Not who do you want to become. Our entire measure of success gets tied exclusively to our occupation. So when that job title finally vanishes, retirees face this devastating psychological shock. Think about it. For decades, their phones rang, people needed them to solve problems. Then suddenly, it's just silence. With that daily structure, they're left wondering if they even matter at all. Moving on to the second root cause, we've got the loneliness explosion. We're living in a society right now where neighborhood bonds are just weaker, families are spread all over the map, and local community groups are shrinking. And honestly, technology has made the whole thing so much stranger. You've got retirees spending hours scrolling through these perfectly curated, happy photos of families and vacations online, all while sitting in complete, agonizing isolation in their own living rooms. They are highly digitally connected, sure, but completely emotionally unseen. Compounding all of that emotional pressure is our third pillar, which is pure financial terror. We have to face the crushing reality of fixed incomes violently colliding with rising inflation. Healthcare costs are through the roof, prescription drugs cost a fortune, and housing is just absurdly expensive. I mean, imagine working your entire adult life only to spend your golden years doing math at the kitchen table to see if you can afford groceries this week. This chronic, everyday stress is forcing so many older Americans back into the workforce out of pure necessity. And that often brings a deep sense of shame, exhaustion, and just hopelessness. Trying to start over at 70, it feels impossible. And to make matters even worse, we hit our fourth pillar, healthcare blind spots. Don't talk about your feelings, just stay strong, handle it yourself, you know the vibe. That is the deeply ingrained mentality of an entire generation. Because of that immense stigma, millions just bury the pain. And sadly, our medical system often completely misses the science. See, depression in older adults frequently hides behind physical symptoms, things like fatigue, sleep issues, or even memory problems. So families and even doctors end up dismissing all this profound emotional suffering as just normal aging. And that just traps millions in silent despair.
Let's put some faces to this isolation.
Let's step away from the systemic data for a minute and actually look at the real human toll here. Take a guy like John. He spent 42 years working at an auto plant out in Ohio. Every single day, 5 a.m. sharp, the guy had a clear purpose. His coworkers respected him, people actually depended on him to get the job done. But the second retirement hit, all that structure just vanished. Within 6 months, he stopped shaving, he stopped calling his buddies, he started drinking a lot more. The days just completely blurred together into one long, empty stretch of time.
And the real kicker here is this heartbreaking admission John made to his wife one evening. He looked at her and said, "I feel like I already disappeared." That right there perfectly captures the reality for so many, especially for men heavily tied to that traditional work culture. Retirement ends up feeling less like this amazing newfound freedom and way more like a total social erasure. They literally feel like they've just been deleted from society.
Then you have Linda. She retired after decades working as a school secretary. But then, tragically, her husband passed away. Her kids? They live in completely different states, and most of her social circle was tied to that old school job. So now her entire life basically revolves around the TV, the occasional doctor appointment, and just pure silence. Her situation is this incredibly painful reminder that human beings were simply never designed for this level of emotional isolation, especially not in a youth-obsessed culture where ads and tech move at lightning speed, constantly making older generations feel like they're obsolete.
And look, when older citizens withdraw the way John and Linda have, it creates a massive ripple effect across the entire country. We are seriously risking creating an emotionally abandoned generation. Families become incredibly strained, right? They're trying to support aging parents while drowning in their own economic pressures. Healthcare costs absolutely explode because of the physical toll of loneliness, which, by the way, drastically increases the risk of things like heart disease and dementia. But perhaps the biggest tragedy? Society completely loses out on a vast, irreplaceable wealth of intergenerational wisdom.
And the fallout doesn't stop with retirees. Younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, they are watching this happen right in front of their eyes. They're watching their elders follow all the rules, work incredibly hard for decades, and still end up lonely and isolated. It is fundamentally changing how younger people view work, how they view community, and how they see their own futures. It's basically replacing any hope for a happy retirement with a profound, lingering sense of dread. So, how do we fix this? Let's talk about rebuilding purpose and community. Now, this explainer isn't just about doom and gloom. We actually can heal this invisible crisis. There are 4 key steps to turning the ship around: redefining purpose, rebuilding local community, prioritizing accessible mental health without the baggage, and ensuring financial security. And if you take nothing else away from this, remember this: retiring from your job should absolutely, under no circumstances, mean an emotional retirement from life itself. Looking at step 1, we desperately need stronger cultural conversations about finding meaning outside of a 9-to-5. A meaningful life does not just magically expire the day you turn 65. We've got to encourage retirees to dive into avenues like mentorship, community volunteering, teaching, getting into art, leaning into faith or family. We spend so much time teaching people how to work, but we really need to teach them how to emotionally survive and thrive after the work actually ends. Secondly, and honestly this is vital, we need real-world presence over digital connection. We desperately need physical spaces again. We're talking vibrant community centers, intergenerational programs, local neighborhood groups. Hitting like on social media is simply not a replacement for actually looking someone in the eye. A single, real, physical conversation can literally break through weeks of suffocating digital isolation. And for all the families out there tuning in, sometimes the greatest solution isn't some massive government policy shift or throwing a ton of money at the problem. It's just your presence. It's picking up the phone to say 3 genuinely life-saving words: "You still matter." At the end of the day, most retirees aren't asking for a life of luxury. They are quite simply asking not to be forgotten by the very world they helped build. We have to ensure that we don't become this hyper-advanced technological superpower that is completely, fundamentally disconnected from its elders. We have to embrace one ultimate truth here. A human being's value does not disappear when their career ends. Not at 65, not at 75, not ever. Look, connection can be restored. Communities can absolutely heal. But it's going to require a massive, fundamental shift in how we all view aging. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on today. What do you think we're getting so wrong about retirement and aging? Really think about that. And more importantly, I strongly, strongly encourage you to reach out to a retiree in your life today. Right now even. Call them up. Go visit them. Ask them for some advice. You have absolutely no idea how much that single moment of connection might mean to them.
Thanks for joining me for this explainer, guys, and as always, keep learning.